Hey everyone, I'm Octacle and today I'll be sharing how I developed a fully functional audiobook player app using just AI. This is what we'll be building together, so let's dive in. I love to listen to audiobooks when I'm exercising or doing chores, but I realized that the available audiobook player apps don't provide all the features I want for free. So I decided to create my own app that would have all the features I wanted. And although I have limited programming skills, I knew that it was possible with the power of AI. Before turning to AI, I needed to know what I wanted the AI to create for me. So I started by listing down my required functions. Most of these are basic functions, but I also wanted some specific ones, like the timer, so that I can listen to an audiobook when I'm going to sleep and it won't keep playing forever. Then I also need to increase the speed of the reader and alter their pitch because some readers are too shrill for my comfort. The Bluetooth one is also important because I usually listen with my earbuds and if they disconnect, I also want the playback to stop. So next I came up with a rough idea for the app's appearance. Basically all I needed was one layout for the user to browse and select their audiobook and another layout that would show the playback status of the audiobook. Then I downloaded all the icons that I would need and added them to my project. The last part that I actually had to think was coming up with the database schema. I knew that I would want to create audiobook entities which would store things like the last read timestamp so the user could resume listening. And I also needed a bookmarks table to store the bookmarks. So after all that, it was time to code. First, I made some rough drawings of the layout, gave it to Claude and let it do its magic. Then all I had to do was copy and paste the XML that Claude generated back into my project. I needed to tweak it a little bit, but then it was done. Simple. Next, I asked ChatGPT to recommend me the best approach for developing this app, and it recommended using a foreground surface. So I compiled a list of my requirements and passed it to Claude to generate a surface for me. Unfortunately, I couldn't test it until I also created the activity for the user to select their audiobook, and that's what I did next. This section, for creating the activities, it took way longer than expected because I didn't realize that I needed so many functions. These functions also needed access to the database, so I had to create it and initialize it first and make sure that everything was set up correctly. And after a while, I was just so confused that I scrapped everything and started all over, this time making separate classes for each of my functions. So I had one class for the file management, another one for the adapter for the recycler view, another one for the activity. And after I finished that, it was much more understandable and easy to work with. However, I still couldn't play any files because I needed my second activity for that. This is where the difference between ChatGPT and Claude really shows. Since I'm using the free versions, I could only ask Claude about like 8 questions before I hit my limit. However, Claude can accept way more context than ChatGPT and it's so much better at coding. So I simply copied and pasted all my code into Claude, gave it my requirements and asked it to create the playback activity and bind it to the surface. Then, I tweaked it and added the various features I needed using ChatGPT. Basically, I would ask Claude all the big stuff, and for the small stuff, I'll use ChatGPT. So for example, when I hit a big problem, such as where the notification icon did not reflect the current playback state, then I would paste all the code into Claude and let it propose a solution for me to implement. But when I was working on small stuff like making the pop-up for the user to change the speed, then I would use ChatGPT. By slowly adding and testing all the functions I needed in this way, I was able to complete the app in just 10 days. I would estimate that I had about 2 hours a day, plus another 4 hours for testing and the initial brainstorming. I will say that I created this fully functional app in just 24 hours. Of course, I wouldn't actually have been able to do it in 24 hours straight because of the limitations of the Claude's free version. But overall, as a side project, I'm really happy with the result. If you want to know more about my process and the tips and tricks I used to create this, then check out my write-up and GitHub, which I've linked in the description. And if you like this video, then please hit that like button and subscribe to see more AI projects like this. That's all for now. I'll see you in the next video.